Hello everyone, happy February. I'm here temporarily in a different space and about to do my January reading wrap up. However, I have to say, I literally not 15 minutes ago finished reading The Winners by Fredrik Backman. When I tell you I have not cried that hard in a book in a long time, but unfortunately I'll have to wait for my thoughts until March because I finished it today, which is technically February 2nd when I'm filming this. So, such a good book. Okay, I sat down to film this because I knew if I didn't do it right now that I would keep procrastinating and it wouldn't be done because this next week is gonna be very busy. And I realized I did not prep any of my stats from January, so I have no stats, but I will be putting up a graphic of all the books that I read in January. I read a total of 7 books in January and I had some pretty good ones. Okay, so here are some of my highlights from my January reading. The first one to highlight, which is actually the first book that I completed in January, is Loud, Accept Nothing Less Than the Life You Deserve by Drew Afualo. I listened to this one on audio and it was a really good audio listen. This book I found to be amazing. I definitely gave it 5 bookmarks. When Drew first started as a content creator in 2020, I believe, she started getting a lot of very negative, very rude, very toxic comments from a lot of men in her comment section. And she started kind of calling that out, which of course would provoke people further, and it just kind of became this whole thing. And ever since then, she's really just been a voice of standing up against misogyny, against fat phobia, homophobia, racism, etc. In this book, she does share a lot of specifics, actual comments that she's gotten, ways that she's responded. She talks a lot about the underlying issues of racism and misogyny and all of these things. She talks a lot about standing up for yourself, about having a voice and cultivating a voice and using your voice and calling that voice out in other people. It was just an amazing read. I left this book feeling encouraged, feeling empowered, feeling inspired to do more, to stand up for other people. It was just a really good read.
Dude, if you want to go out, just go out. Thank you. But don't knock in 2 seconds to come back in. Thank you.
He's knocking in 2 seconds to come back in. The next book that I finished, finally, was Here One Moment by Liane Moriarty. I have spoken numerous times on this channel about how Liane Moriarty is one of my favorite authors, and I actually got to meet her in September. I think it was September. And that was an amazing experience. She seems like such a lovely person. She's very funny. She was making us laugh and she gave writing advice. She was talking about her book and the inspiration for her book. I was totally fangirling and I had planned like what to say to her, and then I was just like so speechless when I first got up there. Her writing has inspired me so much, and it was so amazing to meet her and have her sign my book, and we accidentally matched, which was so fun. Anyways, Here One Moment by Liane Moriarty. This story starts out on an airplane. It's a full flight. There's a child traveling alone. There is a mom traveling with her kids. There is a man trying to get back to his daughter's school play. There's a couple on their honeymoon. All of these just normal people living their lives on this flight. Also on this flight is this woman named Cherry. And at one point in the flight, she stands up and she begins pointing to the passengers and saying, I expect, and then she would state their cause of death and age of death. And she did this for every passenger. Some people are a little freaked out. Some people are trying to get the flight attendant to stop her. But at the end of the day, the flight lands, people go about their ways, and life goes on until one person on that flight dies at the exact same age and the exact same cause of death as predicted. That ended up going viral. And of course, people from the flight start kind of tuning into that and saying, oh, is anything else going to happen? An online forum is started where people can join and post whether the predictions came true or not. And people are trying to find this woman who starts to become known as the Death Lady, to try to figure out who she is, what's going on, and is this even real? Or did you just make all this up and freak people out? So it's a very interesting concept. Liane Moriarty is so amazing in how she writes her books. She tends to always have a lot of characters that she features, and the way that she can keep track of those characters and their backstories, that just impresses me so much. It also brings up a lot of great themes about death, about how we want to live our lives, about our community, about our friends, about the way that our past has shaped us and formed us. So many great questions and themes come up through the story. When I was able to go hear her speak last fall, I think at one point the interviewer asked her kind of, had she ever seen a psychic and what did she think about all of these things? And what I love about her answer then and in this book as the story is told, she doesn't necessarily answer that question. There are characters in this book that absolutely believe that this can happen. There are characters that don't. Cherry herself, the quote-unquote death lady, also has her own backstory and all of these things that make it a very interesting and nuanced take and conversation, and how all of those things together apply to how people view their lives. And it was very interesting and fascinating. I really did like this book. I don't know that it's my favorite Liane Moriarty. I'd have to think about my rankings. I mean, legitimately, I have loved, I think, everything that I have read by her, so it's really hard to pick, but it might be my third favorite. I'll have to think about that a little bit. The third book to highlight is Everyone This Christmas Has a Secret by Ernest Cunningham. This is a short story and it's the third book in the series. The first one was Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone, and I think the second one was Everyone on This Train is a Suspect, I want to say. This series is just so fun. There are mysteries and there's murder, but it's also like lighthearted in a way. And the way that Benjamin Stevenson writes these stories, where he's talking to the reader and he's giving clues to the reader and he addresses the fact that he's giving clues, like it's just so unique and so fun, and I really enjoyed it. I loved the first book, not a huge fan of the second book, and this book, it's a short story. I think it's 192 pages. I really liked this one. It was just so fun. I liked it. So the main character, once again, is Ernest Cunningham, and he now has this reputation for being a detective and solving murders. This one takes place around Christmas time, and he finds himself involved with a local theater group, a nonprofit, his ex-wife, who is currently the main suspect. There's a magician involved, there is a sleight of hand, there's misdirection, there are clues, there are Christmas references. It's just a fun read. Okay, so for February, my TBR. So I finished The Winners, and at some point when I can collect myself, I will talk about that more on this channel. I did get a copy of Onyx Storm. I have started it, but I was really enjoying it, and I figured if it was like the other two books, I was gonna love it. And I already knew I was loving The Winners, and I was like, I cannot do two incredible books at the same time. So I shelved Onyx Storm so that I could focus on The Winners. And I think, which I figured this would happen, I need a minute. I just need a minute to take in The Winners. So at some point I will get back to Onyx Storm, probably relatively quickly, because I am so curious and I'm so nervous that I will see spoilers online. People, please control yourself for the spoilers. I really don't want any spoilers. I also really want to finish Frankenstein. I am enjoying it, and it's a short story, so I don't understand why it's taking me so long to finish it, but I do want to finish that. And then of course, I keep looking this way because that's where my pile of books is. And of course, I had 6 books come up at the library all at the same time, so I have library books. Some of them I already know I probably won't be finishing, but I at least want to like flip through them and see if I want to keep them on my TBR for the future or not. Dickens, just stay. Enjoy yourself, buddy. What else? Oh, my book club pick for February is going to be Herland by Charlotte Perkins Gilman. I read, I think it was last year, maybe it's longer ago, a year and a half ago, The Yellow Wallpaper by her, and I am very curious about Herland. It's another short story, but I am hoping that it will be a good read. I also, surprise, surprise, am going to get back to my Wrapped TBR, which obviously I don't have my bookshelf behind me because I am downstairs because other people were utilizing the upstairs at the moment, but I do have my papers. So I'm gonna draw a paper and then pause, go get my book, and come back downstairs to unwrap it and see what that is going to be. I am really hoping in 2025 to get back to doing that. If not every month, then close to it, because I would love to just keep working through my physical TBR. I have a couple other ideas for February of what I would like to do, some reading challenges, but I feel like I already have a lot of reading lined up for me, so we'll see how that goes. You never know. Okay, I'm gonna draw my paper and we'll see what number. Ooh, I liked that one and then I lost it. I'm going with this. Okay. This is number, oh, don't drink my coffee. Number 13. Okay, I'm gonna go grab the book and then I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I have a book number 13. It's a small one. I don't know what this is. I genuinely don't remember once I wrapped these. I'm nervous because what if I'm disappointed when I see what it is. Oh, actually, I'm very excited. It's nonfiction, which I have been reading a lot of nonfiction, so hopefully I'm not burned out, but I'm excited. The Enneagram Made Simple by Ashton Whitmoyer. By Ashton Whitmoyer Ober, a no-nonsense guide to using the Enneagram for growth and awareness. Okay, so I think I follow her on Instagram, and then, which I think she's published this book. It's been a little while now since she published this. I want to say 2022. And I've had this book for a little while, and I'm excited to finally read it. And I'm glad that it's not long because I have been reading a handful of nonfiction books lately, which is great and I love it, but I also don't want to get like super bogged down. Okay, so that is my January wrap up and my February TBR. Stay tuned as I figure out what to do with the winners. Do I want to post a full video? Can I make it through a full video without crying? Am I ever going to stop talking about the Beartown series in every single video I ever make? I don't know. Who knows at this point? Anyways, I hope that your February is a great month and a great reading month. And until next time, happy reading.
You gotta choose in or out, bud. Don't just hang out in the door. Thank you. All right, if you're gonna, well, don't scratch at the door if you want to stay. I know.
Good boy. Don't knock over my tripod.